True Off My Chest stories. Today from a throwaway account, I told my son/nephew the truth and my wife is pissed.
My wife got pregnant when we started dating at 16. We decided to give the kid up for adoption once she had him. It was a tough decision, but we weren't ready to be parents at 16. My older sister had just gotten married and found out she had infertility, so she proposed the idea of adopting our son. That way we could still be involved in his life and watch him grow up. My wife had him by C-section and my sister has raised him since. We agreed that none of us would tell him until we all agreed he was old enough to understand it. Sure, it was tough to watch him go through life knowing that's our kid, until we finally had kids when we were ready. We're now 36 and he's getting ready to turn 20. I've got a great relationship with him as his uncle. He comes to me with problems he can't bring up to his parents, comes to our house regularly to spend time with our kids, and even said that he considers me his dad since his parents got divorced. We had conversations all the time about telling him as soon as he turned 13. Then it got pushed to 15, then to 18, and still no one wanted to tell him. We had a deal. If he found a car he wanted to restore, I would pay for anything he needed if he did the work. My dad did the same thing when I was a teenager and it was a great life lesson. I still have that car to this day. He normally just calls me by my name or a nickname made up by my wife, his mom, or the kids. Today, he came to the shop to do some work while I was out there working on something else. Then I hear, "Hey dad, my name, can you hand me a rack?" That was when I knew this kid needed to know. He's almost a grown adult. He can handle it. I told him I needed to tell him something. So we sat down at the table in there and I just flat out told him wife and I are your birth parents. He looked confused because his mom has said she gave birth to him so he would never think anything was up. He had lots of questions and I answered them as honestly as I could. He left after and asked his mom about it, who then called my wife to tell her that I told him everything. I knew I should start digging my own grave in the backyard when she put her phone down with no words and just stared at me. She was livid that I didn't ask anyone before I told him. It was selfish, but it had to be done. I couldn't hold it in anymore. Update: after a little bit, my wife and sister thanked me for telling him. The day before that, my sister and her just had a conversation about telling him and neither could bring themselves to. Yes, it was an a-hole move and selfish to do it without warning, but who knows how long they would wait to tell him. My wife and I never abandoned him at all. We've been in his life since he was born and for every major life step, helped with financial decisions like college, sports, and buying his first car, and helped in any way we could. The main things that came out of our conversation were that my sister will always be his mom since she raised him. We will support him with whatever decision he makes, and will always be his family. He asked if he could call my wife and me his parents and we happily agreed. He lightened the mood by saying, "So now you're my dunkle and she's my mant." But not in a weird way, haha. So, today, we gained the older son we've always wanted and our kids gained the older brother they've needed. I couldn't be happier with the decision I made last night.
It sounds like this was a very emotional and transformative moment for everyone involved. You made the tough decision to give up your son for adoption when you were young, but you have maintained a relationship with him throughout his life and have been there for him in many important ways. Telling him the truth about his adoption was a difficult decision, but it seems that it was ultimately the right thing to do. Your wife and sister have now come around to understanding why you did it, and it has brought everyone closer together. Your son now has the knowledge and understanding he needs about his family, and you have gained the older son you always wanted. It's great to hear that everyone is supportive of each other and that your family dynamic has become even stronger as a result.